My name is Mara. I'm 32, and money never insulated me from family theatrics. I walked out of college at 19, poured myself into a tiny online shop I ran from a studio, and kept building while everyone predicted collapse. Then my mother, Elaine, stirred her coffee like she was rehearsing a scold. My father, Victor, perfected the grunt that meant case closed. "You'll never amount to anything without a degree," she'd say. They didn't know I'd already stacked the first bricks of revenue. We were never close. Worth, in our house, wore a suit and a smirk. My older sister, Sloane, a corporate lawyer with seasonal handbags and the voice that hushes rooms, was the parade float. I was the cautionary sign. At dinners, they slipped jabs beneath linen napkins. "Still doing that little internet thing?" my father would chuckle. Sloane smiled like a blade. "It's not too late to get a real job." I let it slide. Building from scratch consumes everything. I saved my breath for invoices and midnight code. I didn't advertise buying a house in cash at 27, or that the black sedan I drove wasn't a miracle of financing. I ate their roast, nodded through concern, and went home to the life they refused to see. The break came on a Thursday, drowned in rain. Mom texted for help. I arrived to find Dad pacing, Sloane with wine, Mom by the fireplace like a judge. The verdict: I was wasting potential, no more enabling, prove I could survive without them. I slid into my jacket, almost amused, if that's what you want. I stepped into the storm already planning what, in 3 weeks, would shatter their mirror. The first week after the storm was quiet. No calls, no texts. Just the hush of people confident I'd learned humility in a parking lot. I worked from my home office, the penthouse with glass walls and a desk that watches the skyline, signing suppliers, mapping launches, pretending their absence didn't sting in old places. By week 2, whispers arrived wearing other people's mouths. Church friends heard I was living out of my car. An old classmate relayed that Sloane joked I'd look sharp fetching coffee at her firm. My cousin Jonah, one of the few who speaks to me like I exist, texted screenshots. I stared at the bubbles and tasted metal. They weren't just wrong. They were busy being right in public. On the third Sunday, I parked 2 houses down from my parents' brick colonial and looked through the dining room window. Roast chicken, lifted glasses, Sloane talking billable hours while my name breezed past like a weather report. I wasn't angry. I'd cooled past that. Something cleaner settled in, the weight you feel just before lightning. 2 days later, an email from the bank. Unusual activity. I almost filed it under spam, then logged in and froze. 2 cashier's checks, over $7,000 each, withdrawn in person from an old account still tied to a teenage family savings. The branch? 2 blocks from my parents' house. The teller remembered my mother. "Family emergency," she'd said. Jonah called the shot. Sloane had placed a down payment on a luxury SUV, courtesy of the family. My hands shook exactly once, and then stopped. No angry calls, no spectacle. I took a breath and decided, if they wanted narratives, I would give them an ending. I didn't confront them. I called my attorney, sealed my accounts, and hired a professional to map my family's money. The picture: thin retirement, Sloane over-leveraged, and Victor guaranteeing a townhouse development. 3 months from default. I set my clock. While reports stacked, I made moves I'd postponed. Opened Europe, signed distributors, closed an acquisition that could buy their street. I kept my name out of press, until I didn't. A national magazine profiled the underestimated founder. I timed it for the month the development would gasp. The article landed Monday. Congratulatory messages stacked. My mother texted, "We're proud." I let it sit. 2 weeks later, the development defaulted. An investment firm I trust bought the project at a discount. My capital bought control. No trick, just patience and paperwork. 3 days after, I invited my parents and Sloan to dinner downtown. They arrived relieved. We traded small talk. I slid a folder across the linen. Victor read, his mouth folded. "This is our property." Was. I described the sequence: bank, sale, acquisition. Elaine flushed. "How could you? The way you walked into my account and called it family." No shouting followed, only stillness. I paid and rose. "The crews keep their jobs," I said. "Yours don't." I left them under chandeliers that suddenly looked like interrogation lamps. Fallout arrived. The SUV returned, the condo listed, the dinner parties cooled. Jonah didn't gloat, he just nodded quietly once. Months later, the townhouses sold out. Sometimes I drive past and watch porch lights blink on, a grid of new chances. People moved in, that mattered. I didn't win by hurting them. I won by refusing their storyboard, and by buying the block they swore I'd never touch.